Wednesday, November 16th, 2016. You're listening to the Line Sports Talk Podcast. Thanks for joining us. It's a Wednesday night, mid-season, midweek. Time to shoot some bullshit, find out where the NFL season is, what's happening, who's what and where and how, who's a flop, who's tough, who sucks, who's your MVP. Joined as usual by my right-hand man, Joey Peeps. Joe, you online?
What's up, guys? I got one bold prediction after more than halfway through the season. The New York Jets will not make the playoffs because they suck, and I'm not happy about it.
He's not the best color man in the business for nothing. You're probably...
don't make me blush,
No, I won't, man. I won't. But, again, you're listening to the Line Sports Talk Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We are brought to you by our lovely friends at Sunday Swim. Check them out, sundayswim.com. Better your Sundays. You can still do it. It's not too late. You got 6 NFL weeks left. You can throw it together and pick them and play them. We're going to get another one up and rolling because it looks like somebody, I don't know, maybe me, is going to smoke one of the leagues I'm in. Let's set up another one. Maybe everybody throw a little bit of scratch.
I do feel the need, not to interrupt, buddy, but I do feel the need to apologize to our faithful listeners because, I'd hope you didn't take any of my advice last week because I went over everything after I was done, and God damn, I think I got Washington, but other than that, man, it was good thing I'm not a degenerate gambler. I'd be broadcasting live from Skid Row right now.
Yeah, you would. I think you struggle, but I don't think you're alone. I hadn't done all the totals yet, but I think everybody struggled. You and I did have the Washington game. You and I both got our asses handed to us with Pittsburgh. But I really don't think we were alone. That Week 10 was a tough week in the NFL. But to jump into what's happening here in the NFL right now, the big question I keep seeing and keep hearing and keep thinking about is who is your MVP? At this point in the season, who is the most valuable player? Now, going back like Week 7, 8, 9, names like Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, those are the names floated around. And I at the time, I thought, yeah, it's these are guys having nice seasons, but boy, they're on great teams with great supporting casts. I got to tell you, Holmes, I don't think that there's much of an argument for anything outside of Ezekiel Elliott right now.
You really shocked the hell out of me. I was just thinking in my head, like, do it. I thought you were jumping Derek Carr all day long.
No, I love the kid. I love Derek Carr. He's a great player. He is the Raiders' most valuable player. He is probably the most valuable player in the American Football Conference. Mm-hmm. But he's not in the whole league. I think that Dallas is a different team without Ezekiel Elliott. I know that you had mentioned, and a lot of people have mentioned as well, that the Dallas Cowboys offensive line is the most valuable player in the league. And hell, they are. They're tremendous. There's no doubt about it. That's an excellent front five. They move people. They're a bunch of road graders. They open up garage doors for Zeke.
And Zeke's that type of running back who doesn't need much in the first place.
No, he's really slippery for his strong and his. He's just a thoroughbred, man. But he is really slippery too. The game winner against Pittsburgh the other day, that hole opened up and he just hit it, and it wasn't. I mean, it was a great hole by NFL standards.
No chance. They had absolutely no chance.
No chance.
Pittsburgh.
Right. Great hole by NFL standards, but you couldn't have driven a car through it. But he hit it and slid, and he's just really slippery. Very Eric Dickerson-like in that slippery, slidey, snaky-like movement. He's a tremendous running back. I don't know that any other back in the league is going to be as good with that line. That line certainly helps, And if you put him somewhere where they can't block Green Bay, he's not nearly as good, Todd Gurley.
See, I don't think they're going to be as good, but I have a hard time believing you put a guy like Todd Gurley in that backfield. He's going to be pretty damn good himself.
Yeah. No.
And you're going to put an Adrian Peterson behind that offensive line, and golly, who knows? But but Zeke, not to take anything away from Zeke, I have a hard time making him the MVP because of how good that offensive line is. And I understand where you're coming from, and those are all good points, but man, that offensive line is special. There's literally, I've seen defensive lines and NFL defensive linemen that look by the third quarter like I don't want any more. They look like they're about to pull a Durant by the third quarter. I think if they could throw a towel in and say no mas, I think a lot of those defensive linemen would. That's how good that offensive line has been this year.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's been excellent. It was excellent last year. It was excellent the year before. With DeMarco Murray, it was an excellent offensive line all the way across the board. They continue to be that good. They've added well. They've drafted well. They've brought in guys that keep filling that gap. I think that Zeke is he's an incredible running back. And look, let's be fair. At the end of the season, they're not giving the MVP to an offensive line. It's a cute story, but it's not happening.
Just thinking back on it too, you think when Jerry saw dollar signs and bringing Johnny Manziel into Jerry world that year, I think Steven maybe that was that one moment in his life where he said, "Go, Dad, go somewhere else. You're crazy. Leave now. We're drafting Zach Martin. You'll thank me tomorrow."
And he did, and he will, and he should. He owes his kid. He owes him for that, for sure. Because Zach Martin's been great. He was that last piece to an offensive line that just mauls people. Then
you got a kid like Lyle Collins that falls in your lap too.
Yeah, that kid should probably sue somebody. I really think he's got the ability to sue somebody. He probably
absolutely.
Oh, they took money out of his pocket.
Yeah.
They took money out of his pocket, and that was disgusting for a situation that he wasn't even involved in. When there's other guys out there who were involved in situations, and they've managed to just walk away scot-free.
Yeah, and you could tell that kid the way that kid plays with a chip on his shoulder. Like, okay, he took money out of my pocket. Okay, now I'm about to show you what you did, and eventually I will get that money because I'm worth it.
Oh, damn right. He's an excellent player. He's an excellent player. But that Dallas Cowboy team, let me ask you, how good are they? Are they NFC Championship game good?
I think so. I was saying this on our pick show on Saturday. I think they've just been the most consistent. I know Seattle looked good in Foxborough, which really, really surprised me. Seattle coming off a short week and being as inconsistent, but we'll get into how valuable Cam Chancellor is in that defense. He's I'm not going to say the Gronk stopper, but he is that piece right there, that big, like we've talked about before, that big physical safety who can run and cover the field. That's the kind of guy, if you're going to have a chance to limit Gronk, I should say, and hang with this Patriots team, that's your kind of key. The one thing about the Cowboys is I don't think they have that going up against the Patriots in the AFC. I think if someone will beat this New England team, that's the kind of team to do it because they have that element where they can limit Gronk.
Yeah, they do. That's a little piece that's just so necessary. And in the NFL we know this. The NFL is all about matchups, week in and week out. It's about the matchup. That's why sometimes a shitty.
But Dallas, you have to rank them as the best team in the NFC right now because of consistency. They've been the most consistent.
The Cowboys.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think, and I hate. I don't want to say hate, but I don't like power rankings in the NFL. I don't like preseason rankings in college football or in anything else, but I just don't love power rankings in the NFL. However, it gives us an indication of what's what, and I'm not going to take offense to it. I saw some Raider fans on our Google Plus account that were furious that the Raiders are out of the top 5. Who cares? That's one of the issues that I often just get frustrated with is like we're not getting any respect. Who cares?
Well, as far as the MVP conversation go, I am going to stick up for Derek Carr and say he's my MVP. I don't give it to Zeke just because maybe it's unfair, but because of how good that line is, I give it to Derek Carr because if you take someone off a team, are they there anymore? I mean, the Raiders are not. They're not anything without that kid right now.
You're right. You're 100% right. if Derek Carr's off the field, that team maybe wins 2 games this year.
They're like I said, they're
not
not
the
the
talent,
same.
but without the quarterback, without that key cog, there's a reason why your MVP.
Just look at my hapless New York Jets this year. You know, they have talent, they have skill position players, no secondary might I add, but they have some skill position players, a really good defensive line, but you know, they just have nothing at the quarterback position. That's just the story of the NFL. You cannot win football games in the NFL with bad quarterback play.
Well, let me ask you this. No, and you're right. You can't. You got to run the ball, and you have to have a quarterback.
There are some exceptions. Denver did it with a less than average or less than himself, I should say, Peyton Manning and a Brock Osweiler. They did it because they had an all-time great defense.
But let me tell you something about that. Peyton was still mentally Peyton. He didn't make mistakes. Peyton was still good enough to take what they gave him and let his defense win in games. He was nowhere near himself last year by any stretch. But anyhow, I want to get back to Elliott. I do think he is the MVP, but another name that I've heard tossed around is Dak Prescott. I can't. I absolutely cannot.
No, I can't. I can't go there. I can't
either. I think he's doing a great job. I can't call him a great player. They're 8-1. You're 9 games into his career. I can't call him a great player. Has he been great? Yeah, he's been great.
Very much so.
We don't know if he's a great player or not.
No, and it's fair to say
he looked
very,
really
very
good,
talented kid. Very, very talented kid, but fell into a great situation. Not taking anything away from him, but with that offensive line, he's got weapons. There's a lot. He's got Zeke in the backfield. He's got a good set of tools to work with.
He does, and let me tell you something else. That team, the defense is pretty good in Dallas.
Good enough.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it is. It's pretty good. They do a lot. They do a lot of just actually playing defense in the true sense of the word. Not a lot of pressure, a lot of 4-men up front, falling back into coverage. It's bend, don't break. It's a lot of that old, not nearly as good, but it strikes me as a similar scheme that the Buccaneers in the early 2000s played. The Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin, Rod Marinelli, who is their defensive coordinator. It's very much that kind of defense where it's bend, don't break. We're going to give you a little bit, but we're going to stop you. And they're putting Dak Prescott in a great position week in and week out. However, I did notice a few times last week, third down and Zeke Elliott's off the field. Brought up a few questions. I don't know. Coaches do silly things sometimes. I think sometimes the star running back comes out just to misdirect. Just oddly enough, I like Dak Prescott. I think he's doing all the right things, but is he the MVP of the league? No, he's not. You take Dak Prescott off that team and you start Brandon Weeden, this team is probably 4-5. But Zeke Elliott's probably still blowing up the league.
Yeah, that's tough to say because Brandon Weeden is so bad. And when you cannot absolutely do not have to respect their passing attack, even if you do have that great offensive line and how good Zeke Elliott is, it's still going to be tough. Zeke is definitely not having the kind of season that he's having now, that's for sure.
No, he's not. But maybe forget I said Brandon Weeden because Brandon Weeden is so.
You could plug a healthy Tony Romo back in, and there may be an argument they could be even better with a healthy Tony Romo.
Yeah, but I don't know that Tony Romo is the Tony Romo of a few years ago.
Yeah, after a couple back surgeries, it's tough to say. But if the guy is healthy, you know me. Maybe I'm biased. I've always been a Tony Romo fan. I've always thought he's gotten a bad rap, and I hate to see this. Now that Dallas has all the pieces together, the guy just couldn't stay healthy, and that's a shame because there were so many years where he was healthy. All those years, they just didn't have anything around him. They didn't have near this offensive line. He got killed all the time. No running game to speak of, and an awful defense. And then yet Tony Romo was always known as the guy who'd blow it late. Yeah, because he had to do too much. It all fell on his shoulders in the last moment. But
No, he did. And let's just hope, and let's leave it with this. But let's hope that Jerry Jones doesn't make a crucial error by forcing in. I thought last week that game against Pittsburgh had some potential that if Tomlin was able to get to Dak Prescott and rattle him, that maybe, just maybe, it would strike the fire of conversation for Tony Romo to start this week. But now Romo will be suited up this week coming up. He'll be the backup. Romo's done in Dallas after this season.
I never thought I'd live to see the day Pittsburgh Steelers have lost their identity.